Let's see, I was born in Virginia. My father was in the Park Service, and he was superintendent of a national park down in rural Virginia on the Potomac River in Westmoreland County. And the name of the park was George Washington's birthplace, which obviously that's where George Washington was born. So I grew up down in the country. I was allowed a lot of freedom to roam and explore, and I built a boat when I was 12 years old, and I did a lot of rowing around on the creeks and rivers and fishing, hunting, and a lot of outdoor life. And so that's kind of the atmosphere I grew up in. And then I went to regular grade school, but the school system in Virginia was very poor. So my parents sent my sister and I off to boarding schools for high school. And so I went to St. Andrews Episcopal boarding school in Delaware for my 4 years of high school. And after that, I went to college at Virginia Tech, Virginia Polytech, and I spent 2 years there. I did not complete it, but I spent 2 years there, and then I went into the Air Force. And after basic training, I spent the rest of my 4-year hitch stationed in Denver, Colorado. And so that was kind of the overall history. Let's see, my dad's parents, and actually I have a very good complete family tree. All of his ancestors were English or Welsh, and they all had come over to this country in the 1600s, so they'd been around quite a long while. My mother's heritage is that she was born in West Virginia, Ritchie County, West Virginia, very rural area. She is Scotch-Irish, which most of the people in Appalachia are. Scotch-Irish with some German and Swiss mixed in. And so she had moved to Washington, D.C. during World War I as part of the great patriotic movement to go help with the war effort. So she was a secretary in Washington, D.C. And my father had met her there, and he was now, at that time, he was in the late 20s, and he was down in Smoky Mountain National Park in Tennessee, living in Gatlinburg, and he was the first ranger on duty when they opened the park. And he had met Mom on a visit back to D.C., and they courted and so on, and then they decided to get married. So they got married, and Mom moved down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee with Dad, and they lived there until he took his position as the superintendent of George Washington's birthplace. He took that job in late '31, and so my sister and I were born right there in Virginia, and I just had the one sister who was a year and a half older than I am, and so that's kind of my family. And, it was a good life.